What's going on? This is Big G from G Riders, and welcome to another episode of Testing Rides. Today, I'm going to be testing out the 2021 BMW X3 xDrive30i. Welcome to the 2021 BMW X3. The G01, this is the chassis code for this particular one, is the third generation of the BMW X3. Came out for the 2017 model year, and in the 2017 model year, this vehicle went on the CLAR platform, which is important because honestly, the CLA platform underpins every single BMW model that has rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive with the rear-wheel drive bias. And also, that platform supports electrification, which is nice because, you know, it's going to be time for all of these models to go electric. And I believe an electric X3 just recently came out. In other markets, I'm not sure if we have it here in the States yet. I'll put it in the lower third below, but I'm not sure if it's out yet. But the X3 came out. This third generation of the X3 came out, and honestly, the X3 has been the hottest selling BMW in the lineup over the last couple years, just because of so many people want crossovers this size. And honestly, it makes sense when you look at the numbers why so many people are buying an X3 over a 3 Series. This is the 2021 BMW X3, and it makes sense why a lot of people who buy vehicles kind of in this segment will be looking at the crossover versus buying the 3 Series. Don't get me wrong, I love the 3 Series, and honestly, I think you should get a 3 Series if you want like a sedan. And you know, I'm not saying sedans are dead, but if you really look at those numbers, it makes sense. But also go ahead and check out my review of the 2020 BMW 330i xDrive in the pop-out banner below or somewhere around here. But anyways, so the BMW 3 Series 330 xDrive, that would be right equivalent to this particular model. So that one has the 2-liter 4-cylinder motor making 255 horsepower and 298 foot-pounds of torque. It weighs just under 3,800 pounds. With under 3,800 pounds, it does do 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds. With it having a little bit lighter weight and having a little bit more power and torque than this particular one, that makes sense. So this particular X3 and all X3s come standard with the same 2-liter 4-cylinder, but makes 248 horsepower and 258 foot-pounds of torque in this particular configuration in this SUV. This SUV weighs just slightly over 4,000 pounds, which makes sense. It is a crossover. And also, with that horsepower, torque, and weight, it does do 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds, which, yes, it is slower, but it's not that much slower, to be honest with you. Especially with this being a crossover and having less power and torque. So if you look at the price-wise, it makes sense as well. So this vehicle is the 2020 BMW X3 xDrive30i. So that means the 30i means it has the 4-cylinder, of course. And this one is about $49,000 because it does have a couple options on it. It has the convenience package that comes with the panoramic sunroof and the comfort access system. It also has the heated front seats and the heated steering wheel as well. And this car is just under $49,000, which, again, that's about average. That's also average for the class. But if you look at a similarly equipped 3 Series xDrive, the BMW 330 xDrive with the same exact features, it's only $47,000, which, you know, there's only a $2,000 difference between getting the sedan and the crossover. I know some people hate crossovers, and I understand that. I am also not always the biggest fan of crossovers, but when crossovers make more sense than buying the sedan, you know, I can understand that, to be honest. Like, for $2,000 more, you'll be getting a crossover which has more versatility. Honestly, the X3 doesn't drive that differently from like a 3 Series. Yes, the 3 Series handles a little bit better because it's a sedan, but it's nice with the SUV because you have the ground clearance and extra versatility of it being kind of a crossover. So it's having a hatch, so you can put, you know, more stuff in the back and all the benefits of driving a crossover. And honestly, if I were choosing between the X3 and the 3 Series, I would choose the X3 mainly because I love hatchbacks and they don't set, and because of everybody liking crossovers, they don't sell the 3 Series wagon in the US anymore. So this would be me personally, my only option of getting this type of size of vehicle. with a hatch. But I definitely can understand the other side of wanting the sedan. But the X3 is definitely a very good vehicle and kind of pretty decent value for the money as well. So let's go ahead and take a look around the 2021 BMW X3, and then we head out on the road and see how it drives. Welcome to the walk around of the 2021 BMW X3. Let's go ahead and start here in the front of the BMW, kind of see what it's like. All right, so looking at the very front of the BMW X3. The BMW X3 is a traditional BMW looking vehicle, to be honest with you. You got your kidney grills up there in the front, you got your halo rings, and then you got those kind of the newer style fog lights. BMW went from the round ones to kind of the more straight ones. And I think it's a good looking vehicle from the front. So I'm not really gonna talk too much about it. Though, if I was going to get one, I'll probably go for an M Sport because it just looks a little bit better. If we take a look up here in the front, got the active grille shutters. Right now they're shut because, you know, this car's been sitting for a while. It doesn't need to cool down or anything. But I think it's a good looking vehicle from the front. It's just a standard BMW looking car. Just a standard BMW look. From the side, same thing. The BMW X3 is just a clean looking SUV. Like, it's styled just enough to make it look a little bit different in traffic over some of the other like more regular crossovers this size. So like, it looks more special than like something like a Ford Escape or a Toyota RAV4 or something like that. But it's not too crazy or different or anything like that. So this one does have different over the stock wheels. So I think these are the 693 wheels, or these are the 693 wheels or something like that. I'll put up the actual name if I got that wrong in the comment section below. But these are 19-inch wheels, and even 19s look a little bit small in this car. I think it needs some 20s, but I do like that this particular model did come with the super stock looking wheels. And I actually like the design a lot. I think it's a good designed wheel. Coming out to the back, has your typical BMW rear end. I think it looks nice. Looks just like any old other BMW. You got kind of your silver cladding down there by the black kind of diffuser thing at the bottom, and which I like. If you kick your foot under the tailgate, the tailgate opens. One super annoying thing I found with this car is the fact that you have to close the tailgate from either the button up there up top or from the front and not with the key fob. I think that's a little bit annoying, but that's just me. Or maybe I'm missing something. And then there's a decent amount of cargo room. Of course, this is not like the biggest of the SUVs. This is the middle one. They have one smaller than this and one's bigger than this, of course. And also you see my RC truck, my Trax TRX4 on my new Bronco body. If you ever want me to make a video talking about that, let me know in the comment section below. All right, let's close it up. All right, so to be honest with you, the 2021 BMW X3 is not anything groundbreaking in terms of styling. It looks good enough. If it looks good enough and different enough from the other of the German SUVs on the road, it's not nothing that's too overly styled or sticks out like a sore thumb or anything like that. It's just a good, nice, clean styled SUV. This definitely is not one of my favorite of the styling of this size of vehicle, but it's pretty nice. I think it looks a little bit better than like the Mercedes GLC, but I think it doesn't look as good as vehicles like the Audi Q5 and like the Volvo XC60. I think that those are better styled vehicles, in my opinion. But it looks still pretty good. All right, let's take a look at the interior. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the interior of the 2021 BMW X3. All right, this does have the convenience package, so it has comfort access. Just go ahead and grab the button there. The mirrors unfold, just a second that you gotta turn on. And let's go ahead and hop inside and see what it's like. Welcome to the interior of the 2021 BMW X3. The interior of the 2020 BMW X3 is just as traditionally BMW as the exterior. It's like all the materials, a lot of materials in here are pretty nice. You got a couple cheaper plastics up there with the speaker grills, but I mean, they're the speaker grills. If you get an upgraded sound system, those look a lot bit nicer. So that's kind of an incentive to do that. Upgrade to something a little bit nicer. It has a nice leather wrap steering wheel with a heated steering wheel. That's pretty nice. Dash feels pretty nice. Everything feels pretty solid. I don't like this fake looking wood here in the middle. Down here, you got your typical BMW shifter with your typical BMW Sport Comfort and Eco Pro buttons and all that stuff. Your parking sensors, your downhill descent control, and also your traction control off. Typical iDrive knob, which is, you know, your typical BMW. Nice big cup holders, nice spot to put your phone. Then you got the nice BMW iDrive system with the touchscreen and wireless Apple CarPlay. So I do like that. I do like the wireless CarPlay in here. This is probably one of the easiest wireless CarPlay experiences that I've had. Connecting was not always the easiest. It was not the easiest thing to do, but once it was connected, it was all good. The screen is a nice size, even though this is kind of the smaller of the optional screens. It's still a good size because I like the fact that it's wide instead of being tall. I think that's a lot better, especially more useful when driving on the road and trying to run multiple screens at once. Like, I know like iDrive has its own thing, but most people will just hook up their Apple CarPlay. As you can see, I have like my music going and my Google Maps there as well. I think it just looks pretty nice. But I'm not going to talk a whole lot about this interior because it's not really different. Like this interior's been out since like the third generation of the BMW X3 came out. A couple things I still do like are the sport seats that come in here. They're super comfortable, super supportive, and I like that it has a thigh support. The driver's side has the same thing. I'm just showing you guys over here what it looks like. And you know, it's just a nice SUV, and I understand, and this is like almost like the perfect size for BMW interior. I think it's really nice. And then of course you got the giant panoramic sunroof up above that goes all the way back into the back seat. I'm not even gonna get in the back seat because I mean it's a pretty decent back seat. It's pretty decent amount of space. I mean this isn't the sedan, so like I mean it's pretty roomy overall. But I'm gonna go ahead and get on the road and talk about how it drives, and also I'm gonna talk about kind of, you know, as I've been talking about before, as I've been talking about in the video before, you know, this versus like buying a 3 Series, because I have recently drove a 3 Series about this time last year actually. So, you know, let's go ahead and head on the road and kind of see how this thing drives. Welcome to the driving portion of the 2021 BMW X3 xDrive30i. So we're kind of just driving around kind of town here as I'm on my way to work. But let's talk about kind of some boring things with this car first. So I did not really talk about this in the walk around portion, but this car is very comfortable. As you guys can see, as you guys know, I'm a big dude, over 6 feet tall, over 350 pounds, and I have plenty of room in this car. I got plenty of headroom, plenty of shoulder room. Like the seat goes back pretty nicely. This is an extremely comfortable car, and a lot of German cars are very easy to get in and get comfortable very quickly, and this car is no stranger to that. So a couple things. I'm going to bring up the main camera that is over here, that's on the window. This has a pretty clear laid out, gauge cluster. I wish it had the digital gauge cluster that I tested out in the 3 Series last year, but this one works pretty well too. I do like the screen is in a good position, but in terms of the way it looks kind of old at this point. A lot of the newer BMW interiors have moved on from this styling now to it has kind of a more fluid kind of motion with the dashboard. Well, not fluid, but it looks a little bit more together instead of one piece of this having the lower screen here, then having the other higher screen there. But it's good, and I'm glad that you still get a wider screen, even though this is like kind of the standard screen. I'll put up the actual screen size up on the camera, up on the screen here. I actually don't remember how big this screen is, but it's pretty good. It's pretty clear. All the climate controls work really well. I mean, it's just your average BMW. It's nothing really drastically different, anything like there. And then you got the big panoramic sunroof up above. So, how does the 2021 BMW X3 drive? Well, the BMW X3 drives really nice. It's extremely comfortable, extremely smooth. You know, with having the 240 horsepower and 258 foot-pounds of torque, it has pretty decent power and torque and everything. And I honestly can't complain about anything. I honestly can't complain. So when we get onto the highway here, I'll go ahead and do a little bit of acceleration and kind of show what this thing can do. So this does 0 to 60 in 6 seconds, and 6 seconds isn't very fast, but it's not very slow either. So it's kind of a good, nice little balance between both. So let's go ahead. Well, it's a lot of cars coming here, but one thing that I recognize with this car is this has the 8-speed ZF transmission, and the ZF 8-speed is a pretty good gearbox. Like, it upshifts, downshifts very quickly, very smoothly. It doesn't like upset the car or anything, so go ahead and give it some gas. Down, upshift, downshift. Downshift. It's a little hot in here, but the transmission is super smooth, super easy to use. It's very close to a dual clutch actually, so it will downshift if you have enough gear. Like, so it won't let me go to second there, but it will downshift all the way and give me 6,000 RPM sometimes. Let's see if it'll let me do it now. 1, nope, nope. But yeah, that's enough on the transmission. If you're looking at this car, you're not even really going to care too much about that. And honestly, if you do care a lot about that, honestly, you're probably not looking at this particular version of the 3 Series, of the X3. You're probably going to be looking at the M40i or even the X3M and some of the other hopped up versions like that. But this regular version is really nice. It's really comfortable. You know, I can't complain about really anything in this car, except that, I don't know, this particular one didn't have the digital gauge clusters. Like, when that's all I can complain about, that is not a bad thing at all. I think that this is BMW's volume selling vehicle for a reason. It's comfortable, everything just works really well. Like, this one comes with some decent equipment, like the heated seats, heated steering wheel. You know, you got your wireless Apple CarPlay. I don't have a connector right now because I have my phone connected to my camera over there, so I can kind of see myself. But for the most part, this is an excellent car. I can see why this is BMW's volume selling vehicle, and I can see why, if you're looking at considering getting a BMW, most people are looking at this particular model, and I completely get it. Give you a little bit of driving here, talk a little bit more about the handling. Some flat out accelerations. But as you guys can see, it does really well for what it is. I mean, this is BMW's kind of like RAV4-ish sized SUV, and honestly, for the size of vehicle it is, BMW kind of have built a very good vehicle here. In terms of handling, it actually handles really decently. It doesn't handle as confidence inspiring and as sporty as something like the 3 Series, but you know, you get some nice little long sweepers like this particular one here. It's very sure-foot, especially with the xDrive all-wheel drive system and just the way BMW works out the kinks on their drivetrains. I think it handles and drives really nice, and honestly, you know, I actually understand too why there's no longer a wagon of this vehicle, because I love wagons, but this X3 does everything the wagon can do with more ground clearance, and that's just the simple fact of the matter with the United States in terms of their market, and why we don't have station wagons and why sedans are kind of on their way out. Some people comment on my videos a lot and talking about how I always just praise the crossover, and honestly, I like crossovers, but I'm also always not the biggest fan of crossovers, mainly because there is a little bit of compromised handling in terms of cornering and everything like that, with it having a little bit of higher ride height. But most people are not enthusiasts like myself, and they don't care about that. They actually want the extra ground clearance. They actually want all the extra things that comes with being a crossover. And you know, the BMW X3 is good at all of those things. Just to be honest, this is a great vehicle, and I can see why you would want to consider buying one of these. But I do admit, some of the stuff in this X3 is, I think it's time for them to do a little update on the X3. I think the X3 is gonna be in need of an LCI pretty soon. That's BMW's kind of peak for like a facelift. I believe that's called, I forget the acronym. I knew it at some point, but I forgot it. But it's gotta be time for this vehicle to get a little bit of update, because there's a couple things in here that reminds me of older BMWs, like mid 2000s ones. Like, you know, I had a 3 Series wagon, and some of the stuff reminds me of that, even though this is a new car. So yeah, I know it's gonna be time for them to update it a little bit soon and get with the rest of the lineup. But for the most part, the BMW X3 is a really nice vehicle, and if you're considering any SUV in this market, this is one of the best. I drove a Mercedes GLC 300 last year around this time, and to be 100% honest with you, I didn't like it. I just think that Mercedes has kind of lost it. I think that they were the top dog in terms of like nice luxury crossovers and cars and things like that over the last couple years, but recently I just feel like they've kind of lost their way, and BMW is back, because BMW lost their way for a while. The last X3 that I reviewed was like a 2017, so it was right before the redesign of this particular model, and honestly it was nice, but I didn't like it that much. And this one's just much better in terms of the way it drives and everything. Yet it's bigger and all that stuff. I mean, this is about the size of the previous generation X5. Like, no, not the previous generation X5, but the first generation X5. But they managed to still have this thing get pretty good fuel economy. This thing still managed to get pretty good fuel economy. This thing still rides and handles really well, and you know, I can't complain about anything about it. I think this is a really nice, really good, solid SUV. So if you're looking for a comfortable, decently fun to drive, just good all around luxury small crossover, this is definitely your vehicle. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit faster, there's other engine options that you can get for this car. So definitely take a look at one of those if you want something a little bit faster than this standard 4-cylinder model. So if you like this video, hit me with a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, keep riding me. Thanks for watching.